Morning, guys. Welcome to Coffee Chat. Wow. I'll tell you what. I sure hope you've been having a fabulous week thus far. And we are. We're in Wednesday. We're middle of the week. And usually this is the most productive time, right? People just kind of like, getting in there on Monday, Tuesday. By Wednesday, Thursday, boy, they are just humming along and getting a lot of the production out that they want to get done and getting all that. So I sure hope that's what's happening in your week. Guys, some of the articles, you know how it is. Sometimes you get one of these articles and you think, really? Do they think that we're totally off the rails ourselves? And this article was talking about consumer spending. And of course, as we go into the fall, now in the fall, of course, there's lots of consumer spending because, you have back to school, you got like Thanksgiving, you got like, all of the various holidays that happen in the fall. And of course, the big one, Christmas and whatever else. And a lot of these articles are coming and say, oh, well, people's, consumer spending is going to be down. And I'm like, no kidding. I mean, have we been even watching what's going on in the economy? I mean, they're talking about, oh, well, people are just, opting that they're not going to be able to do what they did in prior Christmases and stuff like that. I'm like, if you think people are going to be cutting back then, well, they're cutting back now. I mean, you got people out there that are making decisions as to whether or not they pay the power bill or fill up the fridge with groceries. It's getting like that. I just think to myself sometimes, how out of touch some of these statisticians are when they actually are punching these numbers. And they're saying, oh my goodness, it looks like, hey, we're going to see a 30-some% drop in like consumer spending when it comes to Christmas and things like that. And, oh, and we may see a rise in credit card debt and on and on and on. And yet, it's like, did you just forget what was going on in the last 2 quarters and the year before that when all kinds of people have been literally living off their credit cards, and to the point now where a lot of people are getting absolutely maxed out on their credit card debt and don't have the ability to even pay that off. Only 40% of Americans or something, it was a high number, don't even have $1,000 set aside should something, big happen in their situation, like if the car broke down and stuff like that. These are telltale signs of what's going on in this economy. And when you see all these statisticians coming out with all these various, numbers and this and that, I mean, come on, one thing we know for sure is a lot of this information can be totally manipulated. I mean, just look at the CPI numbers that are coming out. Come on, that's not the true rate of inflation. The true rate of inflation has got to be up there in the double digits, in the 20s, and even possibly the 30%. It's insane. I mean, you're looking out there at California where a gallon of gas, and get this, if you're using your debit or your credit card, can be upward to $7 to $8. And that's using your debit card. I mean, hey, a lot of people aren't carrying a lot of cash in their pocket. But if you pay cash, it's like $1 less. Can you believe that? But if you use your debit card, not even the credit card, maybe I can get the credit card side. But if you go and utilize your debit card to pay for gas in some places in California there, it's literally going to cost you $1 more a gallon. And on top of that, the price of the gas is like $7 or $8. So if people think somehow these statisticians are going to throw out these numbers and let us think that, oh, we're really only into the single digits of inflation and stuff like that, it's really not. I mean, it's just insane is really what it is. And of course, people are really cutting back on those, the things that, that they can, that they don't have to have. I mean, even for ourselves, you know what, Judy and I just, we don't watch a lot of TV and stuff like that and this and that. And yet we were having this satellite system into the house for a long time. And I said, look, why are we paying for this? We're not even using it. I mean, it's not like we can't afford to have it, but what's the point of having it if you're not even going to use it? So we just literally got rid of the thing and stuff like that. And I mean, it just makes sense. Now, hey, when you do stuff like that and you're able to say no to certain things, that's where you get a no account. I call it a no account because every time you say no to this, no to Starbucks, no to this pizza, no to maybe some things that you don't necessarily need, like the big cable TV, all the packages, the multiple different channels you can get, and on and on and on. Maybe you don't need those things. Well, you start up a no account. And what do you do with that no account? That no account money is your yes account money when it comes to doing dollar cost averaging and investing. That's one way to absolutely be able to set aside, and don't despise that day of when you think it's just a little bit. Those little bits for Judy and I literally transformed our lives in a way that we could not have even imagined. I mean, we watched a few $100 investments literally go to tens of thousands, and some $1,000 investments literally go, I kid you not, up over almost 100x returns. It was absolutely insane, but it happened. Now, if we had a thought, well, it's just so little, what's the point kind of thing, you know, that kind of like getting yourself discouraged before you even really start because you're thinking, well, it's so little. What difference is it going to make? Well, hey, I'll tell you what, it can make a huge difference. Now, having said that, I have this little allegory that I really love. And what it is there's this old guy. He's standing out there on a beach, you know, maybe out in the beach there. And, you know, he's just bending over. He's just throwing starfish back into the sea that have gotten washed up, you know. Anyway, this young guy comes along, this young kid comes along, and he sees the old guy and he says, hey, what are you doing? And he says, well, I'm saving these starfish, throwing them back in the sea. Well, the kid looks up and down the shore, and there are literally thousands upon thousands of starfish, you know, all washed up on the shore. And the kid's thinking, my gosh. And he says to the old guy, he says, listen, what difference is it going to make? Look at all the 1,000 out here. And the old guy bends over, picks up a starfish, takes it, flings it, whoosh, right back into the sea. He says, well, made a difference to that one. Guys, do not despise the littlest efforts, you know, when you see that, because I'll tell you what, it can make a tremendous difference in your situation, to be sure. Now, when Judy and I were going through that, we felt like, wow, what we're putting into this space is so little. And what real difference is it going to make? I remember we would feel like that, but we counteracted those feelings with this kind of words. We would just look at that and say, loaves and fishes, reminding ourselves, hey, that in God's hands, he can take that little bit that we got, that you got, and you're putting it in. He can turn it into something absolutely supernatural. And that comes from the story of where Jesus multiplied the loaves and fishes and fed over 5,000 people with it. Look, that's the thing you got to think about too. You're putting your seed in the ground, you're planting it in there, and you're looking forward to a harvest. Well, hey, one plants, another waters, but it's the Lord who grants the increase. Think about that. You're not in this all by yourself. You got somebody out there looking out for you to bless you. It literally says in his word that it's his plan to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you a future and a hope. And that's a big deal right there. You got to have that kind of attitude of faith. And remember, in this space, you can call it by a different name, can't you? Risk. Risk, faith. It's the same thing. You're getting out of the boat. You're stepping on the water without an absolute guarantee, but you're making a conscientious decision based on fundamental facts. And hey, that's where it comes out. When the scripture says faith is the evidence of things not seen, things hope for. Well, we're all hoping for something in this space, aren't we? We're all hoping to see a financial return, to be sure. But we've gone out there and we've made some calculated decisions. This isn't just playing on the roulette table. No, we're investing into a space that we can literally see is transforming the wide world right in front of our very eyes. And guys, it's my estimation that the people that have had that foresight to get into this space, it is going to turn out to be one of the greatest wealth transfers in the history of mankind. But having said all that, you want to think about ways in which you can literally pinch some pennies and increase your portfolio size. Well, I'll tell you one way is cutting back on all the spending. And that's what, you know, we're seeing in this marketplace. So when they come out with these articles, say, oh, well, people are going to spend less this Christmas and all this and that. I'm like, no kidding. Because when you consider what the economy is, that's not a big revelation if you ask me. And when these statisticians play with the numbers the way in which they do, guys, you can practically trust nothing. And in fact, you literally, with what they don't even want you to trust your own eyes. That's what it comes down to. Oh, my goodness. Well, guys, I sure hope you're having an absolutely fantastic Wednesday. It is a beautiful day out here, as I've said, and I hope wherever you are, it's a beautiful day. And until later on, we have an absolutely amazing video for you. Have a great one and take care.